Lady Young's beauty at first sight. And so in this rendition, we sang this way. Jian. Okay, so that's one note on the music score. Jian versus Jian. And so, so my learning process can be summarized as having two steps. First, the diligent, repeated emulation, supplemented by technical explanations. In retrospect, I think this is the most effective method that provided a particularly intimate access to the vocal tradition that my teacher inherited. And then the second step is to insert my own ideas into the voice of the vocal tradition. To still take the example of the rendition of Jian, the mental image I have when singing this word is a powerful moment of a man with abundant sexual experience falling in love like a young lad. So that's my imagination. That's not what my teacher has told me. So, whether or not you can hear it, that's my understanding. And so in my gesture, I try to make this clear. So to demonstrate this, you've seen some male singers who would do this. So this gives you the sense that just lift bride's veil. Yes. Right? But I think it's not enough. It's not powerful enough. I want to say this emperor really loves this woman. It's not about physical beauty. It's about, they have souls. And so I use this in the previous line. So I use this just the previous line would be shen gui nei. So in the deep chamber, there is this young lady who's so beautiful, right? So I use this in this previous line, and then when it comes to the empress moment, I would do this. So as Professor Linda Mark mentioned, my earliest exposure to classic Kunchi opera was some cassettes of opera arias sung by Yu Zhenfei, the master singer of Kunchi in the young male role. So I sang in old male role, not young male role. I remember working on my term paper while listening to his solos excerpted from Scene 29 of Palace of Lost in Life. That I was in my college, I had no idea about the story and librettos. At first, his singing sounded like a flow of musical notes and meaningless syllables. It was perfect background for work, right? But about 10 minutes later, I found myself completely drawn into the world of the melancholy music. I could no longer focus on my work, but felt the urge to find the lyrics of the scene and listen to his singing. Once again, that's how I fell in love with Kunchi, and that was the first time I experienced the magic of great Kunchi singing. 15 years later, in a international symposium in UCLA, I used my story to argue against another scholar who claimed that real virtuoso singing of Kunchi is about suppressing one's emotions and to be as bland as one could be. That is misconception. That is not right. And that is why I'm doing this. I wanted to show my passion about singing, my understanding about singing. Classic Chinese singing is not about being bland. I know I'm thousands of miles away from Maestro Yu Zhenfei, but I wanted to use this event as my second example. And thank you for Eddie. Thank you, Eddie, for videotaping everything.
You're welcome.
And I'm gonna upload this to YouTube, I think. Some vocal feat in the tanci piece involves emulation of real wailing sounds, just like crying. I think you probably have noticed some of them. For instance, the seventh turn has a line, 垂钓梨花谢. Who would mourn for the pear blossoms fall, in which the syllable 谢 is rendered in this fashion. Yeah, so it's beautiful. Thank you. And at last, I would like to reiterate my operatic being. Naturally, my operatic being are threefolded. A fan, singer, and scholar. I would use my own training as a singer and be involved in public performances, in particular the reconstruction of historical vocal pieces, such as today's event. And in April, I am collaborating with a Huqin player on reviving a vocal style of a famous Peking opera aria that has long faded out of stage practices. Secondly, I would make scholarly effort to explain the social, textual, and performance history of the Chinese opera in publications. Thirdly, I would work directly with stage productions on textual and musical decisions about cuts and versions. The third aspect of my involvement has not started yet. But I have seen scholars in my field doing their share. Pioneering scholars include Professor Sophie Bob, who is in the audience today. And so I see it as a drama scholar's job to utilize his or her knowledge in the relationship between history and practice to help stage productions emerge from the printed pages into the public performance, to closely collaborate with singers, stage directors, and dramaturgs. I'm waiting for my turn to work with and learn from today's finest artists. Thank you. Now I think if you have any questions, it's the time to open the floor. Yes.
I wanted to ask whether you were a Western singer before you started to sing Chinese opera?
That's a really, really good question, which involves my training, my background in Chinese music. I think I was a very active participant in all kinds of public performances when I was small. But in high school years, I met my first Peking opera teacher, Mr. Li Lintong, from the Shenyang local troupe, Peking opera troupe. But in the late 1990s, I went to Beijing and met my a master of Peking opera, Professor Liu Zhengfu, who said, I could teach you if you under the condition that you forgot everything you have learned in the past. So my training in Western opera or Western music was not that important because I followed his instructions step by step till the extent that I forgot everything. I was just so happy that I did it. Let me explain a little bit more about my training with him. So I think we followed 3 steps in this training. First, I forgot everything, and so he wanted me to be a empty page so that he could write on it. So the first thing is to bring out your best voice. So if I can do anything that's impressive today, that's because of him. He really led me step by step to find my best voice in Chinese opera. Professor Chen, the other day when we were rehearsing together, he asked me the question, can you explain what the difference between Western opera singing, operatic singing, and the kind of operatic singing that you do in the Chinese tradition? I think that is a very good question, and I think I have to give it more thought. But my first reaction was vibrato. In Chinese singing, you just have to suppress the vibrato, any kind of vibrato. For instance, when we practice our voice, we don't do ah. Instead, we do ah. Straightforward. It just that kind of vocal prowess is different.
So it seems to be higher in the body.
I'm sorry.
It seems like the sound comes from higher in the body.
You think it's higher register?
Would you call it?
Yeah. And I don't think I'm in the position to judge. Maybe you were trained in Western opera.
Some.
Yeah. So right. But thank you for letting me know. Yeah.
When I heard yours, the difference is the second one, it seems to be more grounded. The Western one seems to be high in heaven. That's my response.
Thank you. Yes.
What is your opinion on the recent San Francisco Opera's adaptation of Peng?
That was. I'm so sorry I missed it. I would love to go, but I didn't know there was this. I missed it for some reason. Yeah.
Do you think one day 昆曲 can be presented on that kind of stage?
I am highly interested in being involved in contemporary stage practices. If someone wants me to do it, I will. Yes.
Would you please comment on the future potential of this opera in the public or popular domain, since my understanding is, and perhaps incorrectly, that amongst millennials or young Chinese, Peking opera is not as popular as it was back in the day. And I was wondering about the future of artistic ventures like this.
Yeah.
Good response.
I didn't answer it correctly.
No. Well, if I understand you correctly, I think yes. We call this sunset art, right? Any traditional performing arts are facing crisis in today's zeitgeist, right? People are more interested and are more drawn into pop music. What I sang was popular music back in the early 20th century. There is this old Chinese saying, 家家收拾起，户户不提防. Remember, the first three syllables that I sang in this scene is 不提防, and 户户不提防. Every family knows how to sing 不提防. So this was so popular, extremely popular. And how do we go back to the golden age? I don't think that will happen. but there are some great endeavors that have been done, including the production that Professor Mark has been involved in, that the youth version of Peony Pavilion. I definitely think this opera, this scene, does have some kind of appeal, charm that can be used in a new production. I look forward, again, to bring this to wider awareness of the young people. And I noticed that there are a lot of young faces here, and so that's great.
I think I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and let's all give our performer